No matter what Fujifilm camera you got, a lot of the accessories that I got in this video will be useful for you, even if you got all of them but one. You see, I bought this camera as a hobbyist photographer. My intention is to photograph more often with this than any other camera that I own. So I bought and compiled these accessories to help personalize and maximize my shooting experience by making this more comfortable to use. I mean, the more I enjoy my setup, the more likely I am to use it. Of all the things that I use with my camera, this is the one thing that I always make sure to put on. It's a screen protector. Whether or not I end up using the viewfinder more than the monitor, I would still like to know that I have some protection over the most sensitive parts of the camera body, which in this case is the camera screen. I got this 3-pack from Amazon that is easy to install and replace should you need to. This one is actually for the Fujifilm X100 but this also fits on my XE4. This is just one of the accessories that I got for my Fujifilm camera. But for now, the most important accessory to get for your camera is a memory card. I've got the SanDisk here 128GB card, specifically the Extreme Pro. You could definitely use something smaller like a 64GB card, especially if you're shooting only JPEGs. If you plan to shoot video in 4K, 128GB is good enough. But I plan to shoot mostly photos on this card, which is more than enough. I just had this lying around as I was upgrading my SD cards to V60 UHS2 cards. Yeah. That's a mouthful. And unless you got a camera that takes those specific kinds of cards, you don't need to worry about upgrading these anytime soon. But even if your memory card is good enough for taking photos, what about the SD card reader that's gonna transfer your photos at all? One of the things that I love about the Fujifilm cameras is that you could practically just take the JPEGs straight out of camera and accept them as they are. No editing needed. But if you've ever tried the Fujifilm camera app to transfer your photos through Bluetooth, it's not quite ideal. Yeah, it looks pretty simple, but things are just too slow to transfer hundreds, if not even just a simple 10 to 15 photos. So instead, what I've opted to do is just get an SD card reader that I could use with my phone, iPad, and MacBook, which is this USB-C SD card reader from Anker. This accepts both micro SD and regular SD cards. It only takes a few seconds to maybe a minute to transfer a few photos. So if you're thinking about downloading the Fujifilm camera app for your phone, don't even bother. Just get this, and this is your one and all solution for transferring your photos. The next accessory is a small yet noticeable hole left in our camera, meant for the shutter button. We can put whatever button we want, blue, gray, red, gold, whatever color, as long as it threads through the hole. So I decided to go with this blue one that I found on Amazon. Normally I would go for a red one, but this time I decided to switch things up. Once you've gone ahead and threaded it through your camera, you're good to go. You could also find some more creative ones on Etsy. Unfortunately, after a few days after ordering this Pikachu one, it did come loose and fall off. But this one from Amazon is pretty sturdy. Doesn't look like it's going anywhere. But even if you decide to skip out on this, you can't skip out on extra batteries. I got here the Fujifilm batteries from Artman, and if you're like me and are trying to use USB-C for all your devices, this charging block that is used with it is compatible with both micro USB and USB-C. You got both options just in case you're not ready for that solo commitment. Although my XE4 is rated for 460 batteries with one battery charge, it's always handy to have just a spare in case you forget to charge one night or end up shooting more 4K video or any video clips at that matter. For me, I'm preparing for both scenarios. Once you got these essentials, you think you're complete, until you consider ergonomic accessories, like your camera straps. I'm not bold enough to use my cameras without one, so at the very least, I have this leash camera strap from Peak Design. I love it because it's so thin and it's light that I hardly notice that it's there. Plus, I love how minimal and easily adjustable it is on the fly. Alternatively, if you do want to get a more sleeker kind of way to hold your camera, there is Peak Design's micro clutch with their I-plate. I think it's worth it if you prefer carrying your camera with a clutch without compromising a low profile overall. I did try their L-plate for their Sony a6700 and that was a pleasant experience until I had to change the battery, which took a couple seconds. If you manage to keep your camera body from dropping, there's still one more accessory that makes the camera more comfortable in your hands, at least for your fingers. This is a thumb rest that I got from Hauge? Yeah, I guess Hauge. Sorry. Anyway, you want to get this specific thumb rest for your specific camera model. So if you don't want the next accessory that I'm about to mention, this thumb rest is pretty flush and just sticks on your hot shoe of your camera. You push it in and look at that. You have somewhere to rest your thumb and also a place to just quickly move over to the side of your buttons here. For me, it gives me an extra bit of comfort without adding too much bulk. Although I was skeptic about its usefulness, I tell you, it feels like I can't use my Fujifilm camera without it. And I'm coming from a world of Sony cameras and I don't even bother with a thumb rest. Just know that this thing doesn't get in your way and it actually helps you in being able to press your buttons unless you're trying to squeeze for like this top button over here. But other than that, it's ergonomic, intuitive at this point. My favorite part about this particular brand though is that it keeps their branding out of sight and keeping it nice and clean. But if this really isn't enough for you to hold your camera comfortably, there is also the extended grip that you can get at the bottom. This is also made by the same company. It's metal, it's very nice, it's flush, it has like this complimentary leather grip here on the side, and on the bottom here is an Arca Swiss plate that you can go ahead and use directly on any tripod that accepts Arca Swiss plate. And in this case, it's helpful because when you're able to offset the additional camera plate to the left, you're able to access your battery door here. So you can easily take out your batteries and SD cards should you need to. If you were able to see it, I also cover their branding here with my own personal stickers. So one way for me to say that, hey, this is my camera, I just put my logo here. For our last accessory, it may be a little controversial. Some people in the camera community like to have the cleanest and sharpest images, while others like to have the sharpest lenses, but soften things up afterwards, using some filters. I have here two filters from Newer, and they are specifically Black Pro Mist or Black Diffusion. This is the quarter and this is the half diffusion, and these help bloom your highlights to make them feel more softened up. Now obviously these filters are too big for my 27mm lens, and you could actually get these in smaller sizes, but I chose not to as I wanted to maintain the look that is coming straight out of this lens. It's not that it adds too much bulk or anything like that, but I just want to experiment what it's like to shoot with this lens and without any filters. But who knows, maybe I'll try one of these after a month. But whether you're trying to get a Black Pro Mist, CPL, ND, or whatever kind of filter, it's going to be a stylistic choice. It all depends on what you're shooting and what kind of look you're going for. Whether you're using this kind of diffusion or any other kind of filter, it's something to consider when you're buying a Fujifilm camera, especially one where you don't intend to change the lenses out. Like this. Although this version you could change out the lenses, but I don't plan to. I'm just gonna use this lens. If you're like me and you don't plan to go out there and buy different lenses for your Fujifilm camera, or you're using something like the X100VI, which I'm still waiting for, you can at least go and buy different filters to change the look of your images. Because for me, I don't plan to edit my photos afterwards and just accept the JPEGs straight out of camera. Using filters is a simple hack for getting your photos just how you like them the first time and being able to share them as they are. For now, I believe my list is complete. Unless I'm missing something, then let me know down below and share with the rest of us what kind of accessory you would add to your Fuji camera. Meanwhile, here's some Fujifilm videos that I got going on as well.